Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. This guy right here is Evil Mike, and I'm just getting back from a Comic Con, a very small Comic Con here in Denver, Colorado, but nonetheless a Comic Con too. It's been about a year and a half, maybe 2 years since I've been to a con, so I was really excited. Plus, they had a couple people that I really wanted to meet. But first off, I'll show you where it was. It was at Mutiny Comics, and it was called Mutiny Con 2. It was free admission, plus side on, smaller cons. They usually don't charge for admission. And they had a couple different like indie writers and artists. The big name was Joe Pruitt. He's the current CCO and publisher for Aftershock Comics. He is also a writer. So there's that. Then the other big name for me was Sarah Stern. She's a co-artist on the first 6 issues of the current Batgirls series, which I've been a big fan since it started. I'm still picking it up today. I haven't missed an issue as far as reading wise. The only bad thing about this con is I didn't really have a lot of comics to take with me to get signed. I do have the first 6 issues of Batgirls back home. Same thing with a lot of my Aftershock comics. So I didn't really have anything to take for Sarah to sign, but I did take some stuff for Joe Pruitt to sign. I wasn't sure if this was a thing. I was like, freak it. I mean, he's the current CEO, publisher. I mean, his name is on every issue of Aftershock since it started. Most of this I have pictures and video up on IG. I might put like a short on YouTube, but as far as like, I didn't really take my camera. My phone at the moment is all full, so it's like limited pictures and stuff like that. But I did get to talk with Joe Pruitt for a little bit, about 10 minutes. I got there right as the con opened, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there. I was actually in the wrong area because how they did it is they had the comic book store, was just the regular comic book store. They did have Joe on that side, and then they had the auction on that side. But then, coming to find out, they had all these celebrities in like a building that was right next door to the Comic Con. They rented out. It was just an empty floor space, but it was big enough where they could hold like 50 different artists and writers and stuff like that. They had all these little like booths set up. So I kind of found that out like halfway through. I had already attended the auction and then kind of like picked out some stuff from the store. And then I went to the register and I was like, hey, where are the other, when are the other artists and writers supposed to get here? And that's when they informed me they were next door. But meeting with Joe, I'll do that first. He did give me quite a bit of stuff, and I got to talk to him for a little bit. He did tell me this long story about how he looked like Tom Cruise when he was younger, and the guy's handsome as it is. I mean, I can admit when another guy is a handsome guy, he's not ugly at all. He actually has a face that could be a movie star or something like that. But he did pull up on his phone a very old picture of like him looking like Tom Cruise from Risky Business, which I thought was funny, and thought that it was funny that he wanted to share the tale. But other than that, he just, I asked him if he wanted to, if he would sign the comics, and he was really amazed that I wanted him to sign the comics because he's not really an artist or a writer. So he was really ecstatic about that. But he ended up giving me an Aftershock pen. You probably can't see the Aftershock logo. It's really small and red. I did get a Aftershock bookmark. You usually get these at every comic book store. I have one back home, my stuff. I just don't have one now. I'm very limited on my bookmarks, so bookmarks are a plus. But he did end up signing a couple of the books that I took him. I did end up pick up the Vineyard #1, and he signed it right over here, Joe Pruitt. And then I took him Astronaut Down #1, and he signed it over here. And then I took him Bunny Mouse, the Hollow Tales, and he signed it right next to Bunny Mouse, which I thought was really dope. And then he ended up giving me this Halloween Comic Book Fest, and this is his book. You can see his name right there, and he went ahead and signed it too for me. So that was really cool that I actually got a book that he wrote, and it's the only book that he wrote, supposedly. And he ended up giving me another book that I happened to miss out on. It was the free comic book day of Bunny Mask Tales, so I was really excited to get that. I was so excited I forgot to get him to sign this one, but I didn't want to push it. I get real nervous around famous people and stuff, not to the degree where I can't talk, but especially asking for more. I'm not really like that. So after Joe Pruitt, and it was about probably like 15 minutes that I was sitting there talking to him and stuff, because nobody else was there, and most people were probably next door at the real con. But after I went to the real con, I did end up running into a indie writer, and he does these little like black and white indie books and stuff. So I went ahead and picked up a couple from him. Altogether, this was like, I think I didn't have a whole lot of money. That was one downside to me going to this con. It was kind of at a time where I didn't have a lot of money to spend at the con. So everything you're going to see is really like, I mean, it's basically under 30 bucks. But I ended up picking up these two. It was just two little, like, one's called Jokes for Smoke Breaks, and this one is Cheap Artist Threats to a Bigger Machine. It's by Blank Anarchy. He said this one had to do with COVID-19. This one's just funny stuff. And he gave me a cool little bookmark, too, that is just like some pencil sketching. It is a nice, like, stock paper. It's not just paper. Next up was a indie. It was an indie writer that had done a comic book on a Kickstarter, but it's not really published by a big company. Not that I'm positive of, but I did get to talk to him, and I did pick up his first issue of his book, and I went ahead and asked him to sign it. I got him to sign it right here. He was really ecstatic because there wasn't a lot of people talking to him either. I did get a chance to meet Howard Stern, and I got to talk to her for a little bit. I was so ecstatic, and she was so excited to meet a male fan of her book. She thought that was fantastic. I mean, me being a big Bat Family fan, of course, I love Batgirls just as much. But this whole series right here, I mean, hands down, it has been one of the funnest series from DC Comics. It's been fun, and the whole detective side of it has been engaging. So I've enjoyed it even after the issues that she was on. Now, the 6 issues that I have is back in Houston, so I didn't really have any of the stuff that she had to sign. Luckily, they did have one issue there in the store, and it was issue number 2. So I went ahead and picked that up, and they did like this thing in the store where everything was half off, all the comics were half off. So I really got this for like $2, and I got her to sign right here, and she put a little heart on there, which I thought was really cool. I did end up picking up an art print from her. And she only had 2 available, but I thought this one was pretty cool. It's nice and shiny, and she signed it at the very bottom with a little heart, right, and it's like right there. It's very itty bitty. I mean, it's microscopic. Next up is like just stuff that I randomly, like after I got done with meeting the people that I wanted to meet, I kind of went through the booths, and they had everything from Funkos, slab comics, you know, collector cards, stuff like that. So I kind of went through the little bins that they have, especially because this comic book shop where the Comic Con was, I shopped there, and I've been there twice this week. I went there Wednesday and last Sunday. So I kind of had been through everything that they had, so I was excited to see what everybody else brought. And I did find some gold. I'll save the gold for the very end. I was able to pick up some issues that I missed, which was really cool, and they were all pretty cheap. I ended up getting the Closet issue number 3 for $1. I needed this issue to finish out the story, also so I can review it. Another book that I ended up missing was Demon Wars, the Iron Samurai. This is the next installment in Peach Momoko's ongoing like fantasy fairy tale that she's been doing. And I ended up picking that up for like $2, and it was a variant. This one was another one I missed. I think it was like $2.50 because it's half off of $5. But this was Sword of Azrael number 1. I ended up picking up the book that goes with this, the one shot or whatever. This one I accidentally picked up. It's a different variant of the book I have. I thought it was book 2, but this is book 1 of Starhenge. I reviewed this and everything. I was so ecstatic that I thought I found the 2nd issue, but yeah, I already have it. Thanks to circumstances, as Circum had gifted me issue number 1 of Scotty Young's Twig, I went out and picked up issue number 2, and finally I was able to find issue number 3. I do like this variant right here. I think it is a Scotty Young variant. And I picked that up for $1. Next up was another Aftershock book that I could have got signed by Joe, but I just picked it up later and didn't go back to him. But I got Astronaut Down, the 2nd issue. And then last up is some gold that I would say is some gold. I was pretty excited to get it. All these are in pretty good condition. They're all newsstand. But I did I think this whole series cost me $4, but it was G.I. Joe and Transformers, the first crossover. Newsstand issues 1 through 4. I got the whole series for $4. I was like, heck yeah! Currently I don't have any Transformers or G.I. Joe. I am a fan of both. I've never really read either series in comic form, but I've always been a fan of both. And especially since the nostalgic factor is kicking in and stuff like that, this stuff's getting more expensive. And finding it for $1 a piece, I was like, I'm not gonna pass that up. The last one was kind of hard. There was a couple different like books that this specific vendor had, and it was hard to choose. But I went ahead with the old DC, which I don't have a lot on, and I don't have a lot of experience on old DC, so anything I can pick up. But this is kind of my wheelhouse. This is DC's Sword of Sorcery, issue number 5, a 20 censor. It's not in the greatest condition, but I'm not about that. It's more about having it in your hand. I don't know if this is worth anything. That's not why I bought it. I just bought it because, for one, it's an old DC. It's Sword and Sorcery. I'm a big medieval fan. And I just thought it was a dope cover. It's got the whole Cthulhu kind of thing looking on. It says, "Now the danger begins, as Farhard and the Grey Mouser risk all to find the sunken lands." I don't know. But I picked up all those from the same vendor, those Transformers and the DC book. I mean, altogether it was $5 for these 5 books. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. But that was everything I got. I ended up signing up for like a free drawing that they did. It's supposed to be an autographed collection of Echolands, another book that I was big on too when it was out. But man, I had a blast. There was a lot of cosplayers there. They were doing a cosplaying competition that was going on later on in the day. I didn't really stay for that. I think I stayed like altogether about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I said, it wasn't a big con. About an hour into it, I'd already kind of done everything that they offered besides the ongoing auction. But kind of the auction started out where it was like I was available to do the beginning part of the auction, and then it just got too expensive. But hey, I mean, it was a great time. It was really fun. If they're going to do it again next year, I'm definitely going to be there. It was really fun. I'll have to make sure I have a little more money. But I mean, honestly, I thought for the little money that I spent, I felt like I came out with some dope comics. I got to meet Joe Pruitt, the current CEO of Aftershock Comics. I mean, that for me, that was really big, getting to, and he was asking like, hey, what kind of books, did you like out of this and this, and I actually given him my truthful, like how I thought of some of these books, arts, the stories, stuff like that. It was a very interesting conversation. But hey, that's my video. I hope everybody has a great Saturday. I know there's a lot going on. There always is on the weekends. I hope you get out there and find everything you're looking for. I hope y'all have a great day. That's all I got for you. I'll let y'all go. I'll see y'all later. Bye.